Most people spend their entire lives trying to save money. They cut expenses, skip vacations, avoid buying things they enjoy. And every month, they proudly watch their savings account grow. It feels responsible. It feels smart. It feels like they're getting closer to wealth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. For most people, saving money alone will never make them rich. In fact, there comes a point where saving too much can actually hold you back financially. And that's exactly why wealthy people eventually stop focusing on saving. Not because they're reckless, not because they don't care about money, but because they understand something that most people never do. They know there's a massive difference between protecting money and growing money. And once you understand that difference, your entire financial strategy changes. Imagine two people. Both earn the exact same income. Both are disciplined. Both avoid unnecessary spending. The first person saves every extra dollar in a bank account. The second person saves enough for emergencies and then invests the rest. 5 years pass, then 10, then 20. Who do you think ends up wealthier? Most people already know the answer. But what's fascinating is that many still behave like the first person. Because saving feels safe, investing feels uncertain. And the human brain loves certainty. That's where the problem begins. For most of human history, avoiding risk was a survival advantage. The people who took unnecessary risks often paid a heavy price. So our brains evolved to seek safety, to protect what we already have, to avoid losses at almost any cost. But modern wealth creation works differently. Playing defense protects your money. Playing offense grows it. And rich people understand that eventually, growth becomes more important than protection. Think about this. Imagine you have $100,000 sitting in a savings account. At first glance, it feels secure. The money is there. You can see it. You can access it whenever you want. But something invisible is happening in the background. Inflation. Every year, the cost of goods, services, housing, education, and healthcare continues to rise, which means that even though your bank balance stays the same, your purchasing power quietly shrinks. In other words, your money is losing value while it sits still. And that's a concept most people never fully appreciate. The greatest threat to wealth isn't always losing money. Sometimes it's failing to grow it. Now, here's where things get interesting. The wealthy don't stop saving completely. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. They simply stop treating saving as the final destination. For them, saving is a temporary parking lot, not a permanent home. Money enters their savings account. Then it gets assigned a job. Some of it becomes investments. Some of it buys productive assets. Some of it funds businesses. Some of it acquires skills that increase future earning power. The key difference is that wealthy people rarely allow large amounts of money to sit idle for long periods of time. Because idle money doesn't create wealth, productive money does. And this is where the mindset shift happens. Most people think money exists to be stored. The wealthy think money exists to be deployed. That's a completely different way of seeing the world. Imagine hiring 100 employees and then telling them to sit in an empty room all day doing nothing. That would make no sense. Yet many people do exactly that with their money. They work incredibly hard to earn it. Then, they leave it sitting still for years. The wealthy expect every dollar to contribute. Every dollar should either protect wealth, grow wealth, or create future opportunities. Otherwise, it's underperforming. And that's why investing becomes so important. Investing allows your money to work while you're sleeping, while you're traveling, while you're spending time with family, while you're focused on other things. Your money continues showing up for work, even when you don't. That's one of the most powerful ideas in personal finance. Because there are limits to how much you can work. There are limits to how many hours exist in a day. But there are no limits to how many dollars can work for you simultaneously. This is the transition that separates savers from investors, and eventually investors from the wealthy. Now, does that mean you should invest every dollar you have? Absolutely not. The wealthy still value security. They maintain emergency funds. They prepare for uncertainty. They understand the importance of liquidity. But once that foundation exists, the mission changes. The goal is no longer simply preserving money. The goal becomes multiplying it. And that's where compounding enters the story. Compounding is often called the eighth wonder of the world, not because it's complicated, but because it's deceptively simple. Money earns returns. Those returns earn returns. And over time, the growth becomes exponential. At first, the progress feels slow, almost invisible. Then one day, the growth becomes impossible to ignore. This is why wealthy people become wealthier over time. Not because they work harder every year, but because their assets continue producing value year after year. The truth is, becoming wealthy isn't about being the best saver. It's about becoming an intelligent allocator of capital. Saving creates the foundation. Investing builds the structure. And assets create the wealth. That's the sequence most people miss. They spend years mastering step 1 and never move on to step 2. So if you're currently saving money, that's a good thing. It means you're building discipline. It means you're creating stability. It means you're preparing for the future. But don't confuse saving with wealth creation, because they're not the same thing. Saving protects money. Investing grows money. And eventually, growth becomes the priority. The rich don't stop saving because they dislike security. They stop obsessing over saving because they discover something better. They learn how to make their money work harder than they do. And once that happens, everything changes. So here's the question. Are you currently in the saving phase? Or have you already started the transition into investing? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy videos about money, wealth psychology, and financial freedom, subscribe to Arhan Usman. No hype, no fake gurus, just timeless financial truths.